Good morning and welcome to today's session of Moments with Clara. I thought we'd talk about something that's really important today, and it's what I've termed the grief pileup. It's when you've been walking along in your grief journey and you think you've been doing pretty okay. You've not had any major meltdowns, your emotions seem fairly leveled out. You are actually experiencing a bit of joy in each day, and then suddenly everything kind of explodes. You find yourself mad at the world, you're upset with everybody and everything, and you don't really know why. It's what I call the grief pileup. This happens when we're going about our day-to-day business and we're not really facing our grief. Now, what do I mean by facing our grief? It is normal for parents of child loss or families, siblings, grandparents to go through really big dips along the grief journey. And it's also normal to feel those emotional bumps as we're journeying along and to kind of hit ourselves against a rock in a hard place. And we have that occasional meltdown, but it's also normal to feel these little bumps every day. By that, I mean the triggers that we face each day. Maybe we see a child that would be the same age as our child, and we feel the emotional impact, but we don't allow ourselves to feel the grief of it. We recognize certain things that bother us. A song comes on and it's a song that reminds us of our child. We see a playground of children playing and it reminds us of the grandchildren we won't have, things like that. And if we do not deal with those emotions on a daily basis, we will most assuredly have what I call a grief pileup. It's kind of like when you are sweeping the floor real quickly when you know company is coming, and you just take the broom, you lift the edge of the rug, and you sweep the dirt under the rug. Eventually, that pile is going to show, whether we like it or not. If we keep doing that every day, that dirt didn't go anywhere. That stuff needed to be swept out, cleaned out, thrown out. It's the same with grief. When we don't deal daily with our emotions, there is a big pile up, and then there's that huge explosion, that meltdown, and we don't know why, and we lash out at everybody and everything. And it's kind of like we take a seat all the way back to the beginning of when grief was so raw and bitter again. So what I'm saying is, to avoid the grief pileup, we need to face our grief daily. It's okay if we shed tears every day. It doesn't mean we're stuck in our grief. It means we're doing our grief work. It's okay if we have moments of real sadness amid some of the joy that we experience. That's okay. That's going to happen. We need to face and embrace the emotion of grief. If we do not, we will most certainly have the big grief pile up, and we don't want that. We want to avoid it. So my words of strength and encouragement for you today are, if you are feeling an emotional burden of grief, sit with your thoughts for a while, feel them, and then put them aside, deal with them, and then kind of put the eraser and erase that for the day because you've dealt with it. You felt the pain. Now you can go on. Don't sweep the emotions under the rug, because if you do, those emotions will eventually pile up, and it's not fun to deal with the big grief pile up. It's really, really painful and sets us back in our grief journey. I hope you're having a mild day in grief today. Our weather forecast for my area, Somerset, Pennsylvania, is 10 solid days of rain, followed by a weekend of rain. We just experienced that, so it's rain, rain, and more rain. So we are having to make our own sunshine. And I intend to do that today. I have things that I want to accomplish today, and among those are experiencing some happy moments. So I hope you will do the same on this grief journey, and I will be back to visit with you again tomorrow with more Moments with Clara.